Well, it's Gaga back in her dark, freaky element. She has absolutely delivered here. She's delivered industrial pop, and it's called Disease, I believe. It's an absolute corker. G'day, Pete.
How are you? Are you good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You must be on cloud 9.
1 second. I'll just light a cigarette. Yeah, I'm totally, honestly, I am living right now.
Yeah, when a big major pop act delivers a lead single, you're just fingers crossed because it means a lot, doesn't it? The first track off a new album.
It's not just that, but this has been 10 years in the making. I mean, in 2015, when she was making Joanne, the original concept was Dark Gaga, but Mark Ronson came along and he changed everything. And I'm grateful he did because I love Joanne, but we've been waiting for this. And right now, it's like an out-of-body experience. It doesn't feel real because we never thought she would come back to this. You know, she was so into her jazz and her movies that this is just something else, and I'm so happy right now.
A lot of the fans are saying that it's like going through a time tunnel. They feel like they're back at Born This Way and all those other... Yeah, does that how it feel?
It does, and she's so happy right now. She has her partner who helped write the song, and honestly, her new partner... he needs his dick sucked because he has brought her back to this Dark Gaga, and I thank him for that every day.
Who is that? Is that Michael? Is his name Michael?
Yes, I'm not sure what he does, but he's a millionaire, so...
I think he's got something to do with Facebook too, by the way.
I think it's something to do with charities and stuff. That's how she met him.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure.
I understand it was actually...
Yeah,
we've got that super wicked delay again, Pete.
Oh, that's all right.
So it's always fun for the listeners. They love the 5-second delay. But I understand that it was Gaga's mother who met Michael. I'm sure it's Polanski, funnily enough.
Yes, yeah.
She rather unfortunate surname.
She said to LG, she said, I think I've met your future husband. And she was like, I don't need that right now, Mum. I don't need that shit right now. And they met and she fell for him.
Yeah, she does seem very loved up, very comfortable at the moment. So what is it about this song Disease, though, that the fans are gagging over?
I think it's just the fact that the promotion for it, and we kind of knew since last year that she was returning to her dark roots, but hearing it, and it's different to anything else that she's done. I get the Born This Way references, but this is totally different. To me, this is more... Have you heard her song Brooklyn Nights? The leaked song from Art Pop? Oh, this was basically a song that was supposed to be on Art Pop, but she changed it last minute. And it's very much Brooklyn Nights, and she loves that song, so I'm not surprised that she's done this.
What's it about, this song? I couldn't quite get that. It's called Disease, but what's it about?
To me... personally, I could be totally wrong right now and people may be laughing, but I take it as like it's a love song to me, but the partner is quite, dysfunctional, and she's like, I can cure your disease and I get that you have your issues, but I love everything about you. I love your flaws and we can make it work. That's how I get it. I could be totally wrong. I've only listened to it about 5 times, so I'm not... Yeah. That's how I get it.
No, I like the idea, though.
Because with Bad Romance, she says in Bad Romance, I want your ugly, I want your disease. And she said she wants to feel everything. Like, she wants the bad and the good. And that's what I get from this new song.
That's right. As she rubs her hand down someone's back, she wants to feel every wart and every skin tag and every piece of misplaced fur.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It also makes Gaga seem like the penicillin.
It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Do you know what, Pete? I've been listening to Tension 2 all week. So when the Disease song...
Yeah.
But when the Disease song passed the 2-minute 10 mark, my brain felt very offended and confused because this song goes for 3 minutes 50.
You grew up with all these icons. You're used to like 5-minute songs. Like, I'm sure that you were fine.
Yes. No, but it's just like I've been attention too. Like you just sing the chorus and then it ends. So yeah, this one was
Yeah.
interesting. I honest, and I'm not even joking about this. I honestly was listening to Disease, thinking I really like this, and I was mulling around the kitchen. I was actually cooking a brilliant Italian feast, and
My
as the
favourite.
song went on, yeah, absolutely. And my brain's thinking, why is this song not ended yet? It truly did. I've been reprogrammed by Kylie and her tension era.
I love. Yeah, I need to listen to Tension. I haven't listened to the first album actually. You probably want to slap me right now, but I haven't listened
Oh,
to the first album.
yeah, I do. I will stab
Um,
you right now. Ouch!
I'm an Aphrodite boy. I love that album.
Actually, can I tell you this, Pete? If you like Aphrodite, you're absolutely going to love Tension 2. Tension 2 is much better than Tension, in my opinion, especially if you're an Aphrodite lover. Hey, guess what? All the Gaga fans are going, can you shut up about Kylie? Somehow Tim's done it again. He's swung the
Uh,
conversation right around. I
that's
didn't
fine.
mean to.
I'm a Gemini, so we go off topic a lot, so that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. But can I ask you this? Like, with this song and new album,
Yeah.
Gaga's going to be presumably on top of the world. But
Cheers.
all that Joker business didn't do her any favors, did it? I mean, what's the take from the fans on that? Like,
uh,
was it a mistake to have done that film?
Look, the fans are up Gaga's ass, so that they'll love everything. Whereas I'm a realistic fan, and I'll tell you the truth. I loved it personally. The first one's better, but she. Have you seen the movie?
No, I refuse. It sounds rather boring.
No, you need to see it, Tim. Honestly, it's a gay
Oh
child's
God, no.
dream. It is. It's very. The scene where she's
Why?
breaking
What
out
does that mean exactly?
the musical aspects, and um, if I go in too much into it, I'll give you spoilers. But to me,
Oh, I
it's.
don't care. I'm never going to see it.
Let's just give you some spoilers then. I mean, the ending
Yeah,
completely ruined the first one for me.
the ending ruined the first one. The ending of the first film, do you
No, no, no,
mean? Or
no,
the
no, no,
ending
no.
of this film?
The ending of the second one ruined everything that Joker 1 led up to. That's
Oh,
my
okay. Tell me why.
only. Because basically, towards the end of Joker, he has the staircase scene, and that's him becoming Joker.
Yeah.
Sorry, got something in my throat. um, but towards in the courts room, he says that he's not Joker. It was just an act, and everything
Oh,
that the
stop
first
it.
movie led up to, it's like what the fuck. And then he gets murdered at the end. He gets stabbed, and the guy that stabs him starts carving out his face. So he like gives himself a smile, like what's his name? Leave. Who's the guy that killed himself that played Joker in Batman? Heath Ledger.
Heath
Yeah, I think.
Ledger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically they're trying to say that that's Heath's Joker.
I'm so confused. So they've sort of set up this story. Let me get this straight. There's a
Yeah,
man. He's rather upset with society. He starts taking on a character to sort of make a point, and he's rather disturbed. That's the
yeah,
first film. In this
yeah.
film, does it turn out that he's killed, and then some other man sort of steals the Joker identity, and then goes on into the future being the real Joker?
Yes, because he was let down by Joker. Basically, yeah, it's ridiculous, but I like it though. I liked it a lot. I don't know why I liked it, but I had a great time watching it. I didn't want it
How
to
was
end.
Gaga's acting?
Incredible. So was
Really?
she's yeah, yeah, she's an amazing actress. I mean, she wanted to be an actress before she became a singer.
Yeah, she's not bad. She reminds me of Cher in the sense that it doesn't
Oh
just feel
no,
like a
she's
pop
better.
star.
Yeah,
Well, they're both good actresses, is what I'm trying to say. They're not parachuted in for the sake of it. Like
she
I
went to
do
acting
think Gaga
school.
can act. I didn't think she
Go,
was too good in the what was it, the fashion movie? I didn't think she was
oh, House of
fantastic in that.
Gucci. I see. I think she was the
Yeah,
best in that. Everybody was acting like they were in their own movie, but she kind of carried that movie. She's improved, and there's a scene in Joker which is quite disturbing. If you need to censor this, go for it. But there's a rape scene which kind of
yeah.
that was quite brutal to watch. You don't see it happen, but it kind of tells you that he was raped, and that was quite brutal to watch. But that
Who
scene
was the
made no.
Gaga character or the Joker character?
Joker got raped by the security guards, but that scene kind of made no sense to me. It
Oh,
was like, why is that there? Like, what led up to that? Well, we know what led up to it, but it's like, Yeah, that scene, to me, it was like they just put it there just to shock people.
Whenever I listen to Tim and his panel of guests, my toes begin to curl, and I feel just the right amount of tingling all over my aching body. Now, let's get back to the show. Oh!
Hey, this first single, Disease, does that mean it's a new album's coming fairly soon?
Yeah, February.
Oh, really? That's not too far away, is it?
And the tour will be in 2025, but she will be in the UK in 2026 because Oasis is on tour, Beyonce's booked stadiums, and Gaga has no room to get a show, so she's got to wait until 2026 to get a show in the UK.
And Kylie as well in 2025. Don't forget that.
But I think Kylie's doing arenas, right? Gaga's going to do stadiums.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Gaga's like up there now.
Wow. So this is absolutely. It's a hell of a time to be a Gaga fan.
It is. It really, really is. She is. And I don't care if this offends people. She's the greatest pop star, I think, ever.
Don't be shocked by this, but does she have a penis?
No. Definitely. Have you watched her documentary with Bill Gates?
Her documentary with Bill Gates?
It came out this year on Netflix and she spoke about it, about her having a penis. And she was like, about like misinformation, and she was speaking about AI and stuff, and she touched on the penis stuff, and she was like, the reason I didn't deny it is because I have fans out there that are struggling with identities, and if I denied it, it would feel like an insult to those people,
Yeah, that's probably a fairly young and naive view. You can easily say, I don't have a penis, but I don't care if people do or don't, or if they want to change it. I mean, you can contextualize things, Gaga.
People thought Bowie was a female, and I think she liked that people thought she was a male. She loved it. She loved that because her idol was Bowie, and she liked that people thought she was a male. She liked it because with the Monster Ball, she made a joke about it, didn't she? She was like, I have a pretty big dick, so get your dicks out. And yeah, she liked that. She definitely liked it. I love that song.
Yeah, and she absolutely took leaves out of those brilliant people like Bowie and even Queen, and she went for the androgynous thing in the beginning of her career. That's for sure.
Last time we spoke, I sent you the interview that she did with Anderson Cooper. Yeah, that's him. And in the interview, he said to her, like, "Do you have a penis?" And she looked at him like, "Really?" And she was like, "So what if I do? I'm not going to confirm nor deny. Who gives a fuck if I have a penis, And I just love that attitude. I love that.
And I think certainly the majority of people who listen to this show, because we have, that sort of slightly unshockable type of audience, open-minded is the way I'd call it. Like, who cares? It's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit of a curiosity, but it wouldn't make bloody any difference in the world if she did have a penis or not have a penis.
I mean, in the times now, people don't really care. You have they, thems. I don't exactly get that, but we have people that identify as nothing, which is whatever. I mean, I don't get it, but whatever. So right now it's like nothing. It's like, if it was now, people wouldn't give a shit.
I understand back in the day that people would want to come out, is the expression. I understand why back in the day, because there was this culture of oppression, right? So it was a liberation to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in this day and age, it feels like people are, I don't know, I feel like there's an ulterior motive for why people go on TikTok and Instagram, and I scroll and I identify as a, and then I think, I don't understand why you're telling me how you identify. I don't care.
Let's get really controversial. I don't get the whole gender neutral thing. I understand, transgenders. I'm all for transgender and shit like that. But with the they, them, I don't get it. Like, it's just, I feel like it's more of a trend. And you can cut this if you need to, but I feel like it's a trend.
No, I'm not going to cut it.
I feel like it's a trend now. It's like, do you get what I mean?
I don't have any problem with people saying I'm a they, I'm a them, however you want to identify. Is absolutely. In fact, I love it. I embrace it. I love meeting different people and all of that. Fine. Cool.
My only issue is if you meet somebody who identifies as that, and let's say, for example, they're a female and you call them a she, they go crazy at you. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that you're a they, them? It's like, it's so much aggression with it. I mean, like I said, I support transgenders, I support all of that, but it's the they thems that I kind of struggle with. I mean,
well, I don't struggle with them,
but
look, let's both just be really real about that. We probably don't struggle with, well, I don't struggle with the they, them. I do struggle with the behaviour that might come with anyone, whether someone's a he, a she, a they, a them, or whatever. I don't care. But if you've got aggression about the fact that I have put my foot in it, so to speak, and you don't take the chance to be polite, it's just about courtesy and politeness.
And when somebody's aggressive about it, it makes you not want to learn about it. It's like, well, fuck you then. I don't care. Like, if you're polite about it, I will listen. But if you're aggressive, I'm like, well, go fuck yourself. I don't care.
However, I will say this, Pete, one thing I've noticed through this show more than anything is if there is one individual, let's use the they, them example, who gets aggressive about that and says the whole world is making me a victim and the whole world is wrong. That doesn't mean that all transgendered people or people who identify as they, them are the same. And I hate the fact that we do that. If you come across one or two people like that, you can't say, well, the whole community is quite an aggressive lot. It's just not true.
I do feel like
any transgendered person that I've met or had on this show have been wonderful. But even if they weren't all wonderful, I would not say the whole community is tainted with that one or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with transgenders at all, because they're like separate to this. But sometimes I feel like the they them stuff kind of is an insult to transgenders because people tie it to the same thing, and transgenders are getting so much hate right now purely because of that. The UK,
and it's not the same thing, is it necessarily?
No, it's not. I mean, most of my friends are transgender, and
they identify as a he or a she, right?
Yeah, and they're insulted by it. They hate it.
Anyone who works, in human fields might relate to this. When I first started hearing about let's try to use they, them pronouns or ask people for their pronouns, I struggled a little bit with it. I thought, I'm not too sure. Not with the concept of people having a different identity, but just the fact that it was incumbent on me. But now I actually find myself using they and them just in general, like, because if I'm hosting a function or running a meeting or in my work in general, it's actually really inclusive to use they them. It was a hard adjustment for me because of the whole plural, and I'm quite particular about my English and my grammar. But now I actually am finding myself using it, and I feel like it's an inclusive term.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing against it, but just don't be angry if somebody gets it wrong because you look like a female. Just don't get mad. Totally. Just come at it with a peaceful...
Have you ever been mistaken for a female?
No, never, because I look like a male and I'm a male, so it's,
But what would happen if somebody did refer to you as she, or thought, are you a girl, or even came up drunk and said, are you a woman? How would you respond to that?
It's happened before when I was a child because of my, being like, not straight. My voice was quite high, and they were like, are you a woman? I'd be like, no. And I would just laugh. I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm a male. I'm just like,
Did it embarrass you?
It embarrassed me, but the thing is with that is that, like, if it's a female saying it, it's like, I can tell you're a female. You've got tits. You've got whatever. I can see you're a female. So if I call you she, because I've just met you, don't get offended.
Yeah.
That's
sometimes I wonder if that aggression. I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So sometimes if there is a bit of aggression, it hasn't happened to me, but I've seen it on YouTube clips and stuff. I wonder if that's because they're highly embarrassed, and everyone reacts to embarrassment differently. Some people shrink away, other people attack, fight, flight, right? All of that. So yeah, maybe sometimes that little spark of aggression we should be a bit forgiving of too, because that person might be absolutely sick of having to explain themselves.
I don't know. I think it's because I'm such a, like, any form of if someone snaps at me, I snap back instantly. Maybe it's just to me, but I think there needs to be another way around it. Like, you could say, look, you can tell that I have female, like, genitals, whatever. I've got boobs, but this is how I identify. And because as soon as you start attacking, it makes people not. I personally don't want to listen. If you attack me, I'm like, go fuck yourself then. I don't want to listen. Because, I used to be a vegan once, and I would explain it to people, and I never attacked. If somebody offended me, I would stay calm, and I would talk to them about it, you know? And that's the way you got to do it. To educate, you got to talk to people. You can't attack them.
No, but that's a really interesting comparison. I bet you did get tired of the whole why you were vegan and don't you know that's wrong and don't you know that's not healthy. I bet you got tired of it.
See, with my group of people, family and stuff, I had some family that were quite judgmental, but they would just ask questions. And if they wanted to debate, I would happily debate. But, you can debate with someone and you can disagree.
Yeah.
You can really disagree, but at the end of the day, you can shake hands and you can accept that we have freedom of speech and you can agree to disagree, but you can have a drink after.
And Pete, I love that, but can I just put a little bit of context around that? I mean, that's being a vegan, right? So that's a lifestyle choice, and I still think your example is fantastic. But if you're a trans person, and that's who you are, and someone's trying to debate with you about who you are, that is, I can only imagine and guess, but that would be fucking offensive to me.
See, my thing.
Imagine someone saying to you, Pete, you're not gay, Pete. You're not gay. Do you know being gay is wrong? Imagine that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I don't have an issue with transgenders. It's the they thems who think they can be a male one day, then a female, and then a female the next day. That's where I struggle. How can you be two genders at the same time? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I support transgenders. My issue isn't with them. I love most of my friends are transgenders, like I said.
Yeah.
It's the they thems. I'm not against it. I just don't get it. And if somebody can message me, if they listen to this and ring me maybe and explain it to me, I will happily listen. I'm not being ignorant. I just want to. I just don't get it.
And that, do you know the fact that you can actually say, Peter, I don't get it, and I'd love to hear more. That is just as beautiful as it can get, because I don't get most things to do with sexuality, gender. Yeah. I really do. I'm trying. I really do try. I'm very curious for a start.
Yeah,
Plus,
exactly.
I want to be respectful. And I also then try to walk in someone else's shoes. And I've worked in teaching before, and I've seen students struggling with identity on every single level, right?
Oh, that's great.
And I just think sometimes when they react a way that is offensive and or aggressive, actually, if we walked in their shoes, it might make a lot of sense why sometimes they might be a little bit snappy or more. It might just make sense, because imagine getting out of bed in the morning, cracking on with your day and getting to the bus stop and and all along the way, getting those looks, getting the comments, getting the questions even that aren't even meant to be offensive. I would be imagining, only guessing, but I'm imagining that would wear you down over time.
Yeah, totally. But I also think that, like, I'm bisexual, and if somebody questions me, I'm willing to explain myself. And
yeah,
I mean, like I said, I get, being transgender and stuff, and I totally support that. But it's when somebody says they can be a female one day and then the next day they're a male, it's where I can get, you could be fluid. Like, one day you want to dress feminine and the next day you want to dress like a male. I get that. But when you are a biological male and you're not a transgender, but you expect one day to be called a male because you are a male, and the next day you, out of nowhere, identify as a female because you're wearing a dress, that's where it gets confusing.
I understand it gets confusing, but at the same time, a bit of empathy, I suppose, for that person, because
that's what I mean.
Would just imagine it must be exhausting from go to A to B.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I love it having this conversation. It's brilliant. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're I know you in the workspace, for example, and I see you and your name tag is, for example, Aaron, because you're a male, and you're not a transgender. You're a male. You're whatever. You accept you're a male, but then the next day you come into work in a dress, but your name tag still says Aaron, but you want me to call you a she. Is where I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm happy to listen to somebody who has that. I will listen, and I'm not being ignorant. I just don't get it. It's hard to explain,
No, I think you're explaining yourself well. And can I also just pick up on something, Pete? I referred to you earlier in an example. I said, imagine if someone said you're not gay, and you didn't bite at me when, as it turns out, I was wrong about that, wasn't I? I was wrong.
Yeah, but I just think it's different when one day I see you as you're in a suit, and the next day you're coming into work with a dress on, and I accidentally call you a
Isn't
he.
that what Gaga and Madonna do?
They totally do that, but they're not telling people to call him a he. I mean, when Gaga dressed up as a man, it was just an act, and it
Yep.
wasn't that. But it's a good
Well,
conversation to have, and I love that we've gone over time because I'm happy about that. I mean, we can chat as
oh,
long as you
you've got to
want.
go somewhere. I'll
No,
just
no,
leave
no,
it
no,
on
no,
this
no, no.
though.
It's absolutely it's fine. Honestly, we can chat longer if you want. It's fine.
Well, I was just going to say, you and I agree on this, and I hope everyone listening does, no matter who they are, that the moment it crosses a line into insisting that other people,
Yeah,
like not insisting, but because you can ask, you can request, but once you dictate and mandate someone else must change, like in
yeah,
Canada when they were going to pass a law to say that it would be discriminatory to refer to someone by the wrong pronoun.
yeah, totally.
That's too far. It's too
Yeah.
far because you really
Look,
can't legislate against ignorance and stupidity. And so
yeah.
uh,
No, I get that.
I have a problem with that. Funnily enough, if I would refer to anyone as anything they want, I wouldn't care. But if they
No,
told me that I had to or I'd be locked up, I'd probably get stubborn, and that would be the point where I wouldn't.
I don't
That's
want to
just my
sound.
personality.
I don't want to sound right wing because I'm far from right wing. I am not that at all. I'm very woke, but I just want somebody to explain it to me, and then I can get it. Like I'm willing to learn. I mean, when I was 16, I was very different to how I am now. I was very closed-minded, and it wasn't until I turned 20 my mind just opened, and I was willing to learn about everything: race, sexuality, feminism, all of it. So I don't mean to sound. If people think I'm like on the right, I'm really not. I am very much leftist and I'm very much woke, but it's just this particular issue I don't get, and I'm happy to talk to people about it and they can explain it to me on a deeper level. I'll happily do that.
I can tell you one thing, Pete. You're not going to go wrong in life because if you can walk through life never believing that you are expert, and I say this about every topic, not sexuality, not gender alone, anything. Like I've got expertise in quite a few areas, like quite a deep level, but I
Yeah,
still don't
I could
go
tell.
into those fields telling people that I've got all this expertise because I don't think any human being will ever be, a complete expert. There's always something to learn,
No,
is what I'm trying to say. If you can
yeah,
just walk through
totally.
life like that, I'll give you one more example. Like it comes with age as well. At the
Yeah,
moment in my workforce, I've got 19, 20, 21, 22 year olds. And I don't
yeah,
treat them like I mean, obviously, I've got a lot that I can share with them, but
yeah,
I'm getting
totally.
just as much back from those guys.
You're learning a lot
Absolutely, so much. I'm just
yeah,
absorbing like a sponge. But the
yeah,
moment people, and there's lots of these people, we've all met one, and we all are surrounded by many. There's people who think they know everything,
yeah.
and it's just infuriating. Like, you know, I can't stand that, and I love to challenge people like that because I'm curious about them too. How did they come to a point as a human being in this wonderful world that we're in, where they
Yep,
actually believe that there's nothing else for them to know and learn? That's
exactly. Yes,
fascinating. What happened to
exactly.
them,
And that's
basically?
yes,
What happened?
totally.
What went wrong in
Yes,
that little childhood?
that's what I'm trying to get at. That's totally not me. I'm an open book. Like they can message me and they can explain it to me. Like tell me, I'm always willing
Oh
to
yeah,
learn. I want to learn every single day about everything. I mean, I'm currently studying like, feminism and, the history behind it. Like I'm open, like I want to know everything. So honestly, if people are listening
yeah.
to this and they identify as that, message me, tell me, like educate me. I'm open,
And that's the
I
thing,
want to
Peter.
know.
Some of the listeners will, I reckon there'll be people listening who have felt that I've said something offensive in this conversation.
Hmm.
There's probably people listening who think that you have, but we haven't because, like, I think offense almost needs to be deliberate, right? And,
Yes.
well, that's not necessarily true, but neither one of us have deliberately tried to offend. That's for sure.
No, that's why I'm
Yeah.
so against cancel culture. Instead of cancelling people, educate them. Don't cancel somebody out because they say something that you think isn't right. Educate them, message them.
Now, listen, let's come
Exactly.
full circle. The reason we're talking about this, Pete, is because
Yeah, we're off
Gaga is
topic.
such a freaking ally.
Yeah, she
We
is.
haven't gone off track at all because Gaga actually, to her credit,
She's also
is
learned.
responsible for you and I having conversations like this. I never would
Totally.
have had them if it wasn't for pop stars like
But
her. I wouldn't.
I will say this. She's also learned because when Gaga debuted, and please nobody get offended by this, but she used the word don't like to say it, but tranny a lot in her early
Ooh.
career. She did, yeah. I can send you videos of her saying it. She did, but she learned.
Has she ever remarked and reflected back on that?
No, not on that. Not on that. She hasn't. No. I mean, I can send you the clips if you want. She said that a lot on her Monster Ball tour. She'd be like, "I'm a free tranny bitch," and I get what she's probably trying. She was probably trying to allude to, like, the penis remarks.
But
maybe.
Is that a problem though? Now that you've put it in context, I mean, a joke is a joke. Like, and I hear gay people a lot. You would have heard Madam Roast Beef on this show, possibly. He often goes, "I'm a slutty, sloppy." Well, I don't know. If you're self-deprecating, is it really offensive? But look, people are entitled to be offended.
I'm not,
too, I guess. But now that you've said how she said it, then
I mean, I'm not trans, so
no
but maybe if I was trans, I would be like, well, calling yourself a tranny is like, maybe that's our word because, you know, I can use the word faggot. A lot of gay people use it as a joke to describe other gay people, and that's fine. Like, black people use the N word, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, right?
This isn't Janet Jackson, and I love listening to Time to Talk.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures of Gaga she's posing with these two guys in some German sex club, and they're wearing blackface.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh God, those pictures are just like, oh my God, your team should have been there and should have stopped you. But I can send them to you if you want me to. Yeah, she was posing with them, and that gets called out a lot. And there was an interview that she did where she was kind of wearing blackface, but it was like a fake tan, which was very exaggerated. And it was a comment on.
Was that during the art pop era?
No, it was the Fame. And it was a comment on Paris Hilton, who was very, very much overly tan, but Gaga took it to the extreme, and she almost she looked black basically, and that's what it was. And yeah, you can tell her team have tried to scrub as much as they can because she did an interview wearing that tan, and you can't find it anywhere. So her team have definitely tried to scrub it from the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even if it rose to the surface again, here's the thing. I mean, she worked with R. Kelly, for example. I mean, should people be persecuted for this stuff, or or
no? I don't.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Education, and if you cancel someone out and you want to educate them, and if they don't listen, maybe then you can cancel them. But if someone, it's so hard because people get cancelled and they feel attacked and they're not willing to listen, and it's like a defense thing. I hate this whole cancel culture thing. It's sad. It's so sad.
It'll be okay. You're allowed to have a little joke every now and then. You shouldn't be nailed up against the cross if you've said something that's slightly out of order. You should apologise though if you've caused offence, I think,
totally.
or at least be willing to listen.
We have laws on free speech. You can't run into a cinema and shout fire. You can't, we have limits on I'm all for free speech, but there's limits. You can't have hate speech. You can't, bully somebody. You can't, there's limits on free speech, but it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's hard. Yeah.
But you know what I've learnt today, Pete? That not only are you a super pop culture fan, but you're super smart and thoughtful too. I've loved talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
I really have. Enjoy yourself. Where are you off to, by the way? And I also need to chastise you, all right? Just open your ears for one moment, all right?
All right.
You're up past midnight, and I just heard you drinking a coffee.
Yeah, I am.
Well, you can't do that. That's not okay. You can't. You're going to be up all night.
No, I can sleep. It doesn't affect me.
You're not going to bed. You're going out to party or got some booty call or something happening.
No, not tonight, unfortunately, but maybe tomorrow. No, it's a boring night tonight.
I don't know. I was starting to get the suspicion. Are you off to bed? Where are you off to now?
I'll probably go inside, maybe watch some documentaries, probably listen to Disease. I might roll myself a joint, but that's about it.
Here I was thinking you had grand plans. A bit of Netflix and chill. Okay, got it. Pete, you have a lovely night, mate.
Yeah, you too.
I adamantly attack the alphabet with an anecdotal algorithm made of adamantium. I'm like an Adderall addicted anaconda or an alcoholic or an asshole like A-Rod. No anabolics, but I brutally and beautifully butcher the banging beat. Brushing bubbly all over your boobie and booty beat, cause I'm a carpenter. I come carving your carcass, leaving all these carfish crushed on the carpet. Crumbling crawn in Colorado with my cow cronies. I'm cramming it full of condiments like it's a calzone. Delicious, I didn't drive and drink. Whether diamonds or dimes, man, I'm diving deep like an electric eel. I'm elegantly eloquent, and every cent I've ever earned just entered me in the election. I got 11 brains like an enormously...
Welcome to the Fortress, Paul.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to be in here finally.
You've not been in the Fortress before, have you?
I have not, but I've been wanting to.
Unfortunately, baby Igor's asleep. Aww. I can't pull him out for you. You know, my little dragon?
I do know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. Another time, though. I'll let him know that you're here.
Thank you.
So you're from Melbourne, Paul, and you've heard our conversation with Pete.
I did.
I'm just curious what you had to say about that, because look, I'm going to be upfront with you. I felt uncomfortable, and it was really interesting because Pete and I spoke a little bit afterwards, and we both agreed, wow, it's interesting that having a natural conversation like that can leave you with a feeling of, oh, I hope I didn't say anything that's going to offend people. So what did you think when you listened to that conversation?
Yeah, look, I agreed with a lot of what you said, and I think, it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but, ultimately, I think we all have a lot to learn from each other, and if we approach each other with respect and compassion and kindness, we can kind of learn about each other and connect, really.
I'm sort of wrestling with it a bit myself. Like, we just had a natural conversation, just told each other what we thought, right or wrong, not saying... that we were experts in the area, but we were just saying it the way we saw it. So interesting that we live in a world where having a conversation like that could be perceived as dangerous.
Yeah, I think when you challenge anyone's very deep-seated beliefs, and maybe they haven't even reflected on them themselves, it can stir up a lot of things with people. And that can cross different topics, gender, sexuality, lifestyle, food choices. Like, it can really stir people up very easily when you challenge their norm.
So as you were listening to the conversation between Pete and I, what stood out for you specifically?
I mean, I'm a vegan, so I resonated with what he shared. In that, yeah. I mean, I think as a vegan, I've kind of experienced people kind of showing more bullying towards me than I have to them. I'm not kind of an aggressive, angry, very forthright vegan. My attitude is I really like people to approach with curiosity.
So would it be misplaced for me to ask you if you know how to tell if someone's a vegan, don't you?
Oh, here we go. I've yet to hear a great vegan joke.
Well, you don't have to worry, Paul, because they'll tell you.
I'm sure. Tell me. Hit me.
That's the joke. Boom, boom.
Oh, my God.
How do you know someone's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Not
sort
always.
of true. You're not one of those tiresome vegans, are you?
What do you mean by tiresome?
Oh, the ones who do tell you, and then you spend the whole dinner.
No.
I did. I sat at, it was a young lady, beautiful young lady, very smart, in her 20s. And I sat at a restaurant and she just berated me about everything I ordered and everything that went into my mouth. It was a very uncomfortable experience because she obviously had very passionate views.
Yeah.
She wanted to share them. I didn't push her for them. I was happy to listen. But the line was crossed when my dinner was ruined, when everything that went into my mouth I was made to feel guilty for.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not like that. And I have a lot of friends that are non-vegan, and I'm, if anything, they're kind of like, oh, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize. Like, that's completely your choice.
So you came into the Fortress, Paul, to be a bit of a barometer to let me know if we were on the wrong track or the right track with the conversation I had with Pete. But ultimately what I'm hearing from you was it was okay from a listener's point of view.
Oh, no, I definitely think you're on the right track. I think, yeah, maybe, I can't remember exactly what Pete said, but I think it was that he kind of was a bit confused when someone flip-flops between kind of the pronouns they want to use.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it was more maybe his attitude towards it that was a little bit uncomfortable.
He definitely did say, though, if he's wrong, he'd love to hear from people so that they can tell him where he's getting it wrong or where he might be enlightened, I suppose. But thank you for having a listen to it, Paul. First time in the Fortress, I assume that you listen to the show a bit.
I do. I sure do.
And does it outrage you?
Sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Which is why
what have I outraged
back.
You about? Let me know.
The first thing that comes to mind was your kind of opinion or / attack on Darren Hayes and his his post about Trump.
Yeah, I got a bit of flack for that one, but I just don't understand how the hypocrisy of having a problem with a particular person and then wishing them dead. I think that's a bit over the top.
I thought that was a bit of a misinterpretation, but
we misinterpret that post.
Well, I don't. I didn't read it the same way you did, so I think that just goes to show that we all have our very specific views, and we can look at things through different lenses. So.
I make it really clear too, I'm a big Darren Hayes fan. I heard that he actually heard that episode. That's what's been told to me.
Okay.
And so he hasn't replied to our requests to come on the show.
I doubt that he would.
No, but I mean, it's a shame because, again, dangerous in inverted commas conversation. Why should anything be off limits? There's nothing that we shouldn't be able to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I would have been delighted to have him come on and have a bit of a chat. But I totally respect and understand that episode has infuriated some people. But most of my shows seem to, even though that's not the intent.
Well, yeah, no, I think sometimes it is and sometimes it's not.
You reckon it's deliberate sometimes? I promise it's not.
I think you admit that it is sometimes.
I'm laughing. I can't think of any examples. I never sit down and go, right, how am I going to infuriate the communities today? But
I think to your point before, we in your conversation with Pete, is that I can't remember exactly what you said, but there's no. I think when you're not being offensive, when there's no malice in what you're saying. If you're not coming from a place of malice, and I think that's the main point.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. Well, look, thank you for coming into the Fortress. Thank you for talking to us. I hope you can come in and talk about more light things in the future. I'm sure you're a pop culture fan if you're listening to the show.
I am, very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
Who are your favourite artists?
Kylie, Katy Perry, Darren Hayes, Tina Arena. All the good ones. All the oldies. All the oldies.
and a lot of Australians in there too.
And a lot of Australians, yeah.
And Katy Perry's sort of an honorary Australian anyway.
She is now, yeah. We've adopted her, so.
Yeah, teaming up with Tina, that must have made you melt.
It did. It was like, yeah. It was like seeing Kylie and Madonna together for me. So
yeah.
It's like my two worlds collide.
Did you think that Tina upstaged Katy, as many are saying?
She did a little vocally. She did. I think
she did, didn't she?
Yeah, but but Katie did an incredible job.
I thought it was brilliant. I can't believe anyone could say that wasn't a great performance. It really was exciting. It was engaging. It was passionate. And I thought she was doing a brilliant job. And then Tina comes up, and then I went, "Oh, hang on a sec. Those vocals aren't." They were typical Katy vocals, which are fine and she's got a great voice. But compared to Tina, wow, it was.
It was.
Poor Katy shouldn't have done that. That's what I actually uttered as I was watching it. Paul, lovely talking to you, lovely meeting you.
Likewise,
and
Tim.
Thanks for coming into the Fortress.
Thank you, pleasure. Bye.
Hey, Time to Talk family, this is Tim Power, host of the podcast where amateurs talk about icons. To keep our show commercial free, we rely on your support. Many of you have chucked in just a couple of bucks, or sometimes more, which lets Time to Talk Australia pay its way. There's no obligation, of course. Keep listening to us no matter what. Liking and sharing our content is also a huge help. But if you do hear something that you like and you think you can support the show by throwing in a couple of bucks, head to patreon.com/Time to Talk Australia. The link is in the description of this podcast.
Hi Tim and Time to Talk listeners, this is Danny from Melbourne. And I'd just like to say your latest podcast made me very angry.
And as always, we want your voice memos. If you've heard something that you agree with, or possibly you're outraged, and let's be fair, many of you listen simply to be outraged, then take out your phone and record a voice memo. Cap it at around the 2-minute mark and then send it to me. I listen to all the voice memos that come through, and occasionally we include them in the show. Our email is timetotalkaustralia@outlook.com. Thanks for sharing, rating, contributing and donating to this very little podcast from Down Under. I genuinely love our little Time to Talk family because lovers of pop are an endangered species. So why don't we go extinct together?
So that's all I have to say. Get off the airwaves, you're such an amateur.
Well, barely a day goes by when there isn't a new charge, accusation or rumour about Sean Diddy Combs. On top of the multiple civil suits and charges, there are suggestions he was involved in the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac. And in the past day or so, it's been suggested that Diddy deliberately poisoned actor and comedian Jamie Foxx in 2023. You might remember Jamie was hospitalised for a mystery condition whilst filming Back in Action. There are also questions being asked about the death of Diddy's wife, Kim Porter, in 2018. More than 100 lawsuits are expected to be filed by the end of the year, and they are coming from people who claim they were sexually assaulted by Diddy, often when they were drugged. And the alleged victims include women, men, and minors. In the meantime, this vile creation of unchecked celebrity and power sits in a cell where he belongs. And now I've followed Diddy for years. He's an absolute pussy of a man, and I can assure you he is not built for prison. But that's where he'll be until the end of his life. And anyone who's seen the video of the brutal beating that he gave to his former partner, Cassie Ventura, will have no sympathy at all. So Diddy really does represent the dark side of celebrity. This awful saga isn't only about one individual, it's about the abuse of power, privilege, and celebrity. And we're all going to be shocked and disappointed as we hear the names of other celebrities who've either participated in or turned a blind eye to the abusive behaviour that Diddy was involved in. And that behaviour, by the way, ranges allegedly from rape to coercion and to murder. James is a pop culture lover from Perth. What are you making of all this unfolding and very dark chapter in music?
Well, I think that Diddy Combs is just the tip of the iceberg. I have been a cynic about popular culture for a long time and politics as well. I've become very cynical. I started out kind of getting a bit of an awakening in about 2017 and started following. I saw the Q things, and then the benefit of Q was that people were asked a series of questions and were given, well, he took a whole generation of people and educated them into how to educate themselves and do research. And so that was why he was vilified by the media and the establishment. We already knew about the likes of Diddy Combs, and people that are following this whole kind of stuff realise that Jeffrey Epstein, who God knows where he is, but I'm pretty sure that he didn't kill himself, and Ghislaine Maxwell, both of them they seem to be the one, perhaps the East Coast version of Diddy. And
James, I'm just going to clarify something. You think Jeffrey Epstein may still be alive?
Well, there is a conspiracy theory about that, but he may have gone into witness protection. He may also have been. He's certainly, judging by the cameras and all of it, I can't believe that he killed himself. Like, the cameras all went out, the whole kind of he was either killed or he's not alive.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are photos of his body, so I think we can take as a given he's dead. I understand
the photos of the body. There's a conspiracy theory that he was swapped out using Anthony Bourdain's body.
My goodness,
they are kind of, there's markings and stuff like that. I've seen photos in comparison, so I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying I'm a bit of a collector of conspiracy theories, and I mark them off in my head and note them, and then sit back and in the future go,
Are you suggesting that the Epstein and the Diddy scandals, I understand there are parallels, but are you saying they're linked and intertwined?
I'm saying yes. I'm saying that because what it is all about is about control, blackmail, like and it's also related to the adrenochrome and child harvesting. So what they do is they torture children and harvest the adrenochrome, and that is
for the uninitiated. James, I'm going to have to keep clarifying things along the way. Are you talking about organs? What is adrenochrome?
So adrenochrome is the world's most expensive drug, which the elite use, which gives them a huge euphoria, and it involves torturing children because it's the spinal fluid and the blood becomes kind of like, one of the reasons they used to get off on burning witches was because when the witches burnt, the fear and anxiety in their bodies, the whole smoke and stuff was euphoric for the people watching, and so this is kind of part of the whole thing. So
sorry, adrenochrome is the release of your own body's whatever whilst you're engaged in the torture of children?
No.
Or is it something you extract from the child?
You extract the spinal fluid and the blood from, I'm not exactly expert on exactly how you extract it, but
then what, they inject it or drink it themselves?
Yes.
Oh, James, this is out there stuff, I've got to say. But I mean, are you suggesting that with Diddy, that's what this ring was all about?
I'm suggesting that it's the elite's favorite kind of pastime, and I'm suggesting that if you're looking at the rates of children going missing, plus one of the things that the Biden administration have done with the relaxing of the border, what they've done is there's all those 300,000 children who've entered into the United States.
Again, I'm just going to clarify here. You think that the border crisis in the United States has been quite deliberate so that there are more children available to the elite?
Yes. Well, one of the reasons why they hate Trump was because Trump allegedly was going after the pedos and the adrenochrome trade.
Well, James, I'm getting much more from you than I expected. I thought we were going to be talking about, but this is just as fascinating, I have to say. You also think that Diddy may have been an Israeli spy? Is that right?
Well, yes, because Epstein, his handler, you've got Robert Maxwell, who was the newspaper man.
That was Ghislaine's father.
Yes. Well, they're obviously all linked, and he was a Mossad agent, allegedly. And Tony Fauci's wife is Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. So
do you mean Dr. Fauci during the COVID crisis?
Yeah, the COVID killer.
Right. Okay.
The COVID czar. His sister is Ghislaine Maxwell.
Wow.
His wife is the sister of Ghislaine Maxwell. We're all focusing on Diddy, like la 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 la, and Ghislaine Maxwell kind of is in jail for trafficking. Well, where are her customers? Why aren't the customers? Why like when you
So
actually.
why do you think Ghislaine's not giving up names?
Well, how do we know? But the problem is there's a meme going around that says the reason we don't talk about children trafficking is not because of the children, it's because of who the customers are. The customers for all of these kinds of, for adrenochrome and all that kind of stuff, like I think it costs $5,000 per child. The customers are going to be obviously the rich and powerful. And so, and I have a feeling that that every continent, like Bollywood has their Diddy, Australia will have someone to, because it's about control and blackmail of the politicians, and if you see and media and everyone, so you see the way all of those like Leonardo DiCaprio and the Democrats function, like they all jump in and they're all following Kamala Harris. And once you also then you get into the elite gender inversion, and you start looking at that.
What's the elite gender inversion exactly?
Well, if you've studied biology, you can see that bones are male or female. And so when you look at that level, they're part of their religion at the elite level is this Baphomet god who has the upper body of a woman and the lower body of a man. And so if you look at some of the Hollywood stars, they're all alleged to be gender inverted. So the men are, and there's a process of how they, at 40 days, they inject them with the hormones of the opposite gender so that they develop the genitals of the other sex.
Okay, so James, let me follow the bouncing ball here. Justin Bieber, for example, not famous. He got on a YouTube channel. He got a profile. Diddy gets in touch with Justin and says, "I'm going to make you a star." That's what we know. What do you believe happens to Justin from that point?
Well, I think he was basically trafficked by, and this is just me going, I'm an observer and I don't know. So it's allegation. But the allegation is it would appear that he was trafficked for 48 hours at least. Justin Bieber's music kind of, if you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like a tragedy happened. And I think he was drugged and used as a sexual toy. And probably one of the things it would seem from some of the images is that they would drug people, and that whole oil, the baby oil, is supposed to be laced with G, which knocks people out. And so that seemed to be the case, that they would basically knock people out and use them as, they would use famous people as, and film them being kind of whatevered. And I don't know, and I think there's kinds of Jaguar rights talking about Aaliyah, and I think it's Aaliyah, and people falling out of planes and plane clashes and all that kind of stuff. They perhaps tried to turn Bieber into a monster. And then what seems to be happening with him is that the programming kind of broke later on. And that may be, and so what extent he became a monster in the meantime, that's the question. Like, people kind of, some people are saying, oh, he's a victim, but he's an adult. And then did he then become a monster? Because there seems to be this, if you get a child, and because we're not talking about they haven't been talking about the children aspect of it, but it's like the gay thing. If you look at homosexuality, you can make someone gay by having sex with them when they're a child, so they think they're gay. And so there's a grooming kind of thing that goes on. Like the AIDS industry kind of are getting into this here in Western Australia, the kind of the big get into the schools, and they're pushing things all the time. And you've got the trans agenda, which they're getting.
Well, James,
and I think it's the same techniques.
James, this is wild. I have to say. Let's go back a little bit. At the beginning, I said, well, I assume James is a pop culture fan, and this would be a disappointing chapter, the Diddy chapter. But you're not a fan of pop culture or Hollywood or celebrity culture at all. You think it's all a conspiracy.
I'm thinking that what I believe in is the fact that people that are rich, money kind of corrupts you. And so if you look around, we're in this battle between good and evil in the world. And it's a bit like, which chapter of Revelations are we in?
Have you been threatened with legal action because of some of your views, James?
No, because I'm very careful about, you can't get sued for asking questions.
No, but there's some sensational questions you're asking, right, that are very loaded, and they're not really questions, James, let's be honest. You're making accusations.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about the conspiracy theories that are out there.
So
they're not my claims.
Now, this spinal fluid that's extracted from the children that are in a state of torture, what is it meant to do for the elite?
Well, it keeps them young and beautiful, and it also gives them a euphoria.
Right.
Its chemical symbol is the white rabbit, which is why the white rabbit comes up in popular culture, because of course it's Pizzagate as well. Like the whole Pizzagate thing.
Okay, now James, help me get to know you a little bit. Do you work, James?
I have got a background in photography and photo media.
Photo media and photography. So a little bit of public relations too, maybe?
A little bit, but not formally.
Okay. So tell me about yourself. Like, do you live on your own? Have you got a partner? What's your life like? Do you work?
Oh, that's a bit unexpected. Can I pass on those questions?
Fair enough. I suppose you're here to talk about celebrity culture, so if you don't want to talk about yourself, that's fine by me. But do you feel that the LGBTQIA plus community is being used to an extent by elites?
Well, yes, in terms of the groups, because I'm a Muslim as well, and so that adds. And I came back to Perth, and after I became a Muslim, I had a family background from a Christian family. So
Where did you become a Muslim? What country?
In Spain in 2007.
Okay, and what was that process like? I mean, you can't just sort of snap your fingers. You must have studied and all of that sort of stuff.
Well, I've got a degree in religious studies from years ago.
Why did you become a Muslim?
Because I had a religious experience.
What was that?
Well, I just had a religious experience in the Cordoba Mosque, in which I recited the Shahada and had an experience of God, kind of shivers up the spine and all that kind of stuff. And so then when I came back and so I've always kept it very private. I wasn't didn't run around and I didn't lay it on people. I wasn't I've never been an evangelical Christian where I was telling people they had to follow the Lord or anything like that. But because I was
James,
running their show.
I'm going to interrupt, James. James, you mentioned the Q movement before. I've heard, and I know very little of it, but I have heard that something about lizard people. Have you heard of that? And what is that exactly? What are lizard people?
Well, that wasn't something that came from Q. That's that's more a David Icke.
Right. Is it something you believe in?
If lizard people were suddenly to appear overnight, would I be surprised given the nature of the world? Probably not. But
okay. And James, it's really important that people listening wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about. What, in the simplest terms possible, what is this theory about lizard people exactly?
Well, they're basically saying that I think it goes back to my understanding of how it works, it goes back to Allah created 3 species. He created humans and angels and the jinn. And the jinn being made of fire, the angels made of ice, and humans made of carbon. And so I believe that the jinn perhaps refer to reptilians. That may be how it kind of works, but I don't know.
But is the theory that there are some elite people covered in maybe human skin but are actually reptiles underneath?
Yes, that is and they use technology to, apparently they use technology, but to mask themselves, but I haven't seen that. I have seen, like, if you look around at the elite gender inversion stuff, that's kind of very common. Like, that's a kind of a thing. You can see that around you. You go to your shopping centre and stuff, and you'll see that.
What are the warning signs? What should we be looking out for? How do we tell who's an authentic celebrity and who is involved in something grotesque, a grotesque ring?
Well,
is there a way of telling?
We can't. We literally don't know what they do in private, but we do know there is evidence that there is some pretty dark stuff going on. I think it's really unwise to put these, like, we're told in religion not to have idols, and I think that's a really wise thing, because who they say they are in public and who they are in private is really huge. Like, celebrities and AIDS industry professionals and stuff, politicians, they're all coming out and in front of the camera, they're lovely. And but how do I know what they're like?
So you don't follow any celebrities? There's no musicians you admire?
Well, now that I know what they do to children, I'm not a fan of childhood sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And so until they kind of go through, until this whole Diddy stuff, like, who's next? Who's next that's going to be, who was at his party abusing children? Like, the big issue is that it's underage children that were being abused and trafficked by Diddy.
Can I ask you, James, just, I'm curious, do you listen to music? Because I'm imagining with all of this swirling around in your head and the knowledge that you believe you have, that it must be hard for you to put on a record or watch a movie or watch TV. It must be very difficult for you.
Well, as a Muslim music, we have to we understand that a lot of music has satanic messages. So once you understand the symbology, the numerology that is used by the secret societies and all the rest of it, then you can see all that in. And
is that secret society you're referring to sometimes referred to as the Illuminati?
Well, are the Illuminati real? Like, I think that the way Satan rules the world is that he has a bunch of different groups all fighting each other. They're pushing this lie that Satan loves his followers. No, what he did, and he said to Allah that he would take people with him, and that he would give them misinformation and deceive them into following him. And that's the whole kind of thing, the big lie of and so,
James,
but in order to control, like, the way populations are controlled all the time is by divide and conquer.
So, James, what's the solution to all of this? I mean, you've painted an extraordinary problem that sort of infiltrates international borders. What's the solution to all of this?
Well, I think there needs to be investigations of Diddy, and there needs to be, like, where are Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Like, we need to start seeing some justice for the children. We need to start seeing where are the children that are going missing all the time, for a start. And we need to, like human trafficking, the drug culture, you know, whether it's fentanyl or meth, we really need to see governments, the people in authority, you know, the FBI,
investigating.
Because there's Hunter's laptop as well. Like, that is a whole. They've acknowledged that Hunter's laptop is real, but no one's been charged. And the point is what needs to happen is there needs to be justice for those children. You can't be having people going around raping and abusing children and letting them get away with it. And
James, final question. What's going to happen to Diddy, in your opinion? What happens next?
Well, you heard it first here. Diddy did not kill himself. He may be killed in jail because it would appear from what people are saying, and I'm not saying this, but apparently he's singing like a budgie, and he's got all those tapes, and apparently he's released the tapes onto the black market, onto the dark web. So, or will they just take him and put him on a celebrity island, and where all the rest of the celebrities who get charged but never kind of get convicted? You know, I mean, I'm just kind of a little person, but I don't see any justice yet. And unless they start releasing names and charging people for being co-conspirators, like, unless they kind of say, well, and the Diddy crimes are so egregious. The what we've seen in terms of the pictures, there's pictures coming out of celebrities in compromising positions and allegations about some of the celebrities, and there's celebrities on X deleting their profiles, and people seem to be running around kind of in a bit of a flap.
You think there's a few scared celebrities out there at least?
I think the whole world of the elites is panicking because they know that once we understand what they do to children, there's a question mark. So every time I see a politician, every time I see a celebrity, I deal with them appropriately and respectfully because I'm a civilized person. Like, adrenochrome production is all about money at the end of the day. And so it's not the poor people that, like, I don't look at poor people and go, oh yeah, I can see you kind of like as a guilty party. No, and so the wealthy people in the world are going to have to kind of step forth and say, well, it's not us, and they need to purge their ranks.
You're a fascinating person, James. I assume you're going to be following this really, really closely.
Oh yes, I've got my popcorn. I'm waiting to see who gets arrested next.
Well, James, it's been brilliant talking to you. I really appreciate you sharing your views, wild as they might be and unexpected for me as they might have been. But I hope you've enjoyed your time in the Fortress.
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me and letting me kind of express other people's ideas.
And now it's your turn. It's time to talk back.
Hey, Tim, I just wanted to throw out a point about what I said about Kylie's use of pitch correction and what Nathan said about me having the gall, and other people also having the gall, to criticise creative choices. I didn't say I don't appreciate the use of pitch correction and the creative use of it on her records, but the thing that younger fans need to understand about us older fans, when we were growing up with Kylie, since we were little kids, I need to point out as well, we watched Kylie really fight for her voice to be recognised and taken seriously as a legitimate voice in pop. So when we start to hear all of those tonal variations and unique aspects of what we came to recognise Kylie, and like every time we hear Kylie, we hear all of those things. And these days, with everything having pitch correction on everything all the time, all of those things that we grew up with about Kylie that we love and that we're expected to recognise in her voice, they're not there. And that is actually a big problem for the way I connect with Kylie as an audience member. And I don't know whether that's the same for other older members when they hear that pitch correction and all of those tonal, unique aspects of Kylie's voice just removed so that everything sits perfectly on the line of the note, which is not what we're used to hearing at all. So while I understand that there's a need for pitch correction to be used and that there is a creative way for it to be used in pop music and that's the norm of now, and Kylie should definitely be doing things to keep herself current and like all of the other performances and things, I just think that there's a need to remember what it is that a lot of the audience that have been there since we were little kids. Like I was a fan of Kylie when I was 8 years old, and I know her voice perfectly because it's been part of my life forever. I just think it's really disappointing when I see all of those things removed from the records, and I just find it harder to connect to them as I get older. That's my thoughts.
And as always, thank you to everybody who's sent through a voice memo, and for those people who send through messages. It's really appreciated. This show is all about you, so make sure you take the plunge and send us a voice memo as well. Just get your phone out. There's a voice memo app there. Record your voice memo and email it to us at timetotalkaustralia@outlook.com.